All right, ladies and gentlemen, coming up, the Elimination Chamber Post-Show with myself, Brian H. Waters, the real Dwayne Allen, and Blake Thomas. So, after the music, get ready for the Elimination Chamber Post-Show.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Wrealm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, I got two of my good friends here. I got the real Dwayne Allen.
Oh, man, I'm not your friends.
Well, dang, that's how you feel?
I'm just kidding.
And, of course, I got Blake Thomas back. So, we just got finished watching the WWE Elimination Chamber. And, you know, I had to hit the record button because these two was already getting started before the show was ready. So, guys, let's get right into it. Start off where the show ended. Kofi Kingston coming but so close, but he didn't get it done. Daniel Bryan is still your WWE champion.
Until WrestleMania when he loses to Kofi Kingston.
You say he loses to Kofi, Blake? Dwayne?
Why are you still convinced that Kofi Kingston is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania?
Because who else do they have?
AJ's freaking Styles.
AJ's wrestling Triple H.
You keep saying that. See, this is how the conversation started. You still selling me this whole... He can't wrestle every McMahon in the company. It's going to get old after a while.
Well, he's wrestling Triple H, so let's get used to it. Maybe he'll get Vince at SummerSlam.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so Dwayne, real quick, why don't you think Kofi... We saw a great match. We saw... Obviously, the crowd was behind him. Houston, Texas, behind Kofi Kingston. Why was that not a preview of what's to come?
Because WrestleMania is not doing Black History Month. I said it.
Okay.
Like, come on, man.
But so you said fans only cheer during Black History Month for black people?
No, but I'm saying that Kofi Kingston got this spot, not because it's Black History Month, but I'm saying, but don't act like the momentum's not rolling right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the perfect time to really put on display some of the talent of some of the African-American superstars that we see, and they acknowledge and honor during this month.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then when Mustafa Ali got hurt, here's a guy that's put in his time 11 years, but I feel like it was a loyalty run, you know, all jokes aside. Not because he's black, of course. I'm just saying it because of this. But at the end of the day, I'm saying it because, okay, this dude can show, like, yo, he was one of the top guys in the ring before he really got an opportunity to show what he can do in that main event scene outside of his work with Randy Orton before the New Day came along. But I'm like, okay, cool. He had this match, but how do you set that up for WrestleMania? One more time? Come on, like, it's WrestleMania. I just don't see that.
So you would much rather think that you could just set up another Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match for the umpteenth time and say, oh, that's a WrestleMania match, when a Kofi Daniel Bryan one-on-one would be fresh. And now Thursday, Kofi pinned Daniel Bryan pins him tonight. You gotta break the tiebreaker, so why not do it at Mania?
Because WWE doesn't book their matches like their sporting events. This isn't New Japan.
Hey, we're going to Fox.
Yeah, but we ain't there yet. At the end of the day, Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles have a history. They have something to tell. They have a story to back up. They don't do that one-upsmanship, marksman stuff. Like, this isn't New Japan. This isn't Ring of Honor. There's no tournaments. There isn't no competition based off wrestling wins, losses, and ties.
Let me jump in there real quick. So, I understand what both of you guys are saying. So, here's my thing, and here's my theory. We still have another bump in the road before we get to WrestleMania. One more stop on the road to WrestleMania. That is WWE Fastlane. If the fans come out and they still showing that this is a guy we want to see, Kofi Kingston, is that enough to sway the momentum, keep the momentum going, and perhaps maybe Kofi's in a match in Fastlane to earn another shot at the WWE Championship?
I feel like he might be in the WWE Championship at Fastlane.
Okay.
That's the match you'll get to see. I think that's as close to WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston that you'll get.
Mm-hmm.
Fastlane, that's it.
Well, I mean, it's possible. We could see that.
You know it's the truth.
Or we can have that big, whatever it is, 4-way or whatever, and it might not be a WWE Championship, and it's more of a setup of, you know, who knows, a Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston, Mustafa Ali, Samoa Joe, 4-way winner faces Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
One major problem with that premise you just gave us. There's no AJ freaking Styles in it.
Then take Jeff Hardy out, put AJ in it, and let him get RKO'd again like he did tonight. You know, and then, you know, throw him out the ring.
AJ Styles is not wrestling Triple H at WrestleMania.
Triple H.
I will say this.
Man.
I was thinking that we was going to see AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan up until this past Thursday. But the reason why, because I just did not see a clear-cut babyface for Daniel Bryan to face at WrestleMania. But I got to admit, this Kofi thing, it swayed me. And, you know, great job by WWE tonight, the way the match was booked, because it had me emotionally invested. And that's how I like to watch wrestling. I don't want to be able to predict it. Yeah, I was rooting for Kofi, had a feeling he wasn't going to win it, but it allowed me to suspend my belief for about 50 minutes and really get into that match. And that's what I'm like, okay, well, now staying emotionally invested, I'm hoping my guy can get another opportunity against my main guy, Daniel Bryan.
Do it at Mania. Don't do it at Fastlane.
If it happens at Mania, it definitely closes out the first hour of the show.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't care. It could open the show. Long as it's not over in 4 seconds or 5 seconds, however it was with Daniel Bryan lost the title to Sheamus. Long as it's a good match, I'm fine with that. So we gotta talk about this. You guys were talking about this on air, and I'm gonna bring it to is Kofi Kingston will he be the guy to be the black WWE champion?
Yes.
The fans are upset right now, just by the way, but we know the fans are fickle, but is Kofi Kingston the guy?
I think he could be the guy.
See, there you go again. You didn't answer the question. He asked you, is he the guy? Not, do you think he can be the guy?
With this momentum, with this story, how it's being written, going into WrestleMania, you're going in New York, New Jersey, why not let him be the guy?
But see, that doesn't make sense to me, because let's look at the history of the WWE. They don't just book stuff on the whim. They've been talking about Mania matchups for so long. Kofi Kingston was just a shoe-in because Mustafa Ali got hurt. So that means they never had any real major plans for Kofi to even be in this spot. So I just have a hard time believing that just because he put on a great performance, all of a sudden they're going to change their entire plan and say, you know what, let's go with Kofi to be the flagship bearer of the WWE with the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. I just don't see that happening.
Well, was Becky written to be the flagship bearer and be in this main event originally?
No, but it wasn't 2 months ago. This has been in the making for a long time with Becky Lynch.
But look at what they've done on SmackDown. Period. There's only one thing that's really been long term that's keeping a lot of people's interest that you really don't know how it's going to happen right now, and that's the whole Miz Shane McMahon story.
Absolutely, but there's at least been a build-up. That's all I'm saying, because that's the WWE way. With this Kofi stuff, man, you have less than almost 2 months to sit there and try to sell people on, you know what, let's go with Kofi all of a sudden. Like, what was your original plan?
Well, the thing about it is, and not to try to diss the product, because I love the product, that's how SmackDown's going with every championship plan going into Mania. There's no clear cut of what's going to be happening for every championship match on SmackDown right now.
But you can't say we haven't had an idea in the past going into Mania who was most likely going to be in that spot.
For every championship match, though. Think about it.
At least for the WWE Championship.
Yeah, well, hey, things happen. AJ Styles got to fake Triple H now at Mania.
He's still selling me on this.
And now we're going to have Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan.
So Blake, why AJ Styles and Triple H? What takes you there?
Because I don't think that the whole AJ Styles Vince McMahon thing is done. Now Vince has his hands in a lot of things right now, but you don't just punch Vince McMahon in the face and then boom, you never hear about it ever again. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't, if Triple H is 100% ready to wrestle, and we know in a Triple H WrestleMania match you're not going to get a straight up match anyway, it's going to be some kind of DQ or street fight, something like that, but why wouldn't Triple H represent the family and be the one to face AJ Styles? Plus, it's a fresh matchup that you haven't seen yet, and what better stage to do that at WrestleMania?
Since when does Triple H fight Vince McMahon's battles?
Why not?
I'm not saying
all four of them are running the show, right?
It's different to say why not, but they're not that much of a
Vince
united.
isn't going to do it.
Listen to me, they're not that much of a united front. You know why? Because they proved that on Raw. Triple H said, "Look, Becky, apologize. We'll see you at WrestleMania, no problem." Vince McMahon came out and said, "No, they don't speak for me. I'm the guy around. I don't care what you say to them. I'm still mad." Triple H and Stephanie don't speak for Vince McMahon.
So you're saying that you don't think that might not be a swerve by Stephanie and Triple H?
I don't think it had anything to do with AJ Styles. That's a personal beef because Triple H did the same thing to Finn Balor. No, Seth Rollins, when he called him out. He said, "You know what, you're not the guy who you said you were." And then when Seth Rollins finally snapped, he said, "Okay, cool, welcome back." That was that whole situation. They don't have anything to do with AJ Styles.
Okay. Well, in 2 months, when AJ Styles is wrestling Triple H,
Oh boy.
We can go back to this and we can go, well, this build-up really wasn't there, but I can't wait to see this no DQ street fight between Triple H and AJ Styles. And wow, Brian, can you believe that it's Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship?
It's Kofi.
Don't turn your phone off when you're disappointed when you find AJ Styles in the WWE Championship at SmackDown. You'll try to disappear. Like, nah.
I won't be disappointed because I love anything that AJ Styles does. It's just, why would you give that to us again at WrestleMania?
I just feel like there's so much history already there. It's easy to build.
Okay.
I think if you get it, I think AJ goes over though. I think he gets his, every big guy at has that WrestleMania championship win. Mm-hmm. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker, Hogan. That would be, for me, seeing that's the next thing for AJ Styles to do. He's defended the title successfully, so did Hogan. But Hogan won the title at WrestleMania 5.
I gotta say Hossein was Hogan. Why could you bring up another?
Because that's the first person to defend the title successfully and then win it.
You knew he wasn't going to bring anybody else except Hogan. Like,
well, let me tell you something, brother.
You knew that was coming.
You could have easily been like, oh, well, the same thing that Brock did, but no, we had to get Hogan. Neither here or there, though.
Brock never won the
rules.
He never
package right there.
Hey man, that's a special collector's item. WWE 2K15 came with the Funko Pop up there and the signature. I mean, the piece of the ring from WrestleMania 30 when he said they were in the Silverdome. But we talked about that WWE Championship match. Let's go to where the history was made tonight. WWE reintroduced the Women's Tag Team Championships. For the people who don't know, they were retired in 1989, but they reintroduced them and Sasha and Bayley won. I was surprised. I was torn between the Iconics. No, I was seriously. I was torn between the Iconics and I was torn between the Riot Squad. I just thought they was gonna go with the heels first.
No, you didn't.
I did. How you gonna tell me?
My money was on the Iconics. That was my money.
What is wrong with you, Blizzard?
Because I felt is that you put on the Iconics and then you have Bayley and Sasha win it at Mania to give them a special moment.
Listen, all the special moments in the women's evolution and revolution and all that great stuff has started with the 4 horsewomen of professional wrestling. You knew they was going to go with history. Like, it had to. Sasha and Bayley, that's what I'm looking at you both like you crazy. Like, you really thought the first one to ever go in the history books is going to be the Iconics or the Riot Squad. The new faces, they barely wrestle every week because they're still fresh faces. Mm-hmm. Which I think they do an excellent job of allowing them to develop without overexposing them as they continue to grow and learn in the ring. But Sasha and Bayley, they've made history in every other area, and you think they weren't going to be the first ones? You guys knew that.
Too easy though.
No, it's history. They at least their names have to be in the books because they're going to go down as legends. They're really going to transform the business like we've never seen before. When they become veterans, I can't imagine the group of young women that's going to come behind them. Mm-hmm. The tone they set is ridiculous.
I will say this though. One thing I really did enjoy about that match was it was Bayley and Sasha. And it was the surprising Mandy and Sonya.
Yeah, it started the way we ended.
It was very shocking to me that you started it and they ended it. And I thought all the teams really held their own. And it was very enjoyable. And I'm not mad about Sasha and Bayley winning. But, here we got Dwayne. He's making his good point. So, whatever. You win this round. You lost the last round. But you win this round.
You guys knew it was going to be Sasha and Bayley. Don't act like you're like, really. The history makers, everything from NXT to the main roster. And they weren't going to be look at that, who was in that match. They were probably the most experienced out of everybody in that match. And you know it.
Besides Naomi.
No, Naomi was there before those girls, and she didn't make that much of a noise. Yeah, and I'm telling the truth. She was there long before them, and she did not make waves the way they did. Those women set the tone at TakeOver, and they carried it over.
I just was thinking it was gonna be Money in the Chase. That's all.
For history though, we're talking the first ones. They hit if they lose it tomorrow night to the Iconics, okay, makes sense because now you got a long chase to WrestleMania. You just got a month and a half chase. Mm-hmm. But in history though, the first names in that book in history, and you really thought it was gonna be Billie Kay and Peyton Royce.
Oh, it should have been.
Well, so here's the thing. Are Sasha and Bayley non-brand exclusive? Are they going to be on Raw and SmackDown?
They have to be.
Because I don't remember them kind of making an announcement about that.
I mean, like Dwayne said, I think they have to be. I mean, because right now, and this is just as of speaking, you have 6 teams on both those rosters, and if you do go to the third roster, as of right now, you kind of only have 2 teams on NXT. You know, you got a newly developed partnership with Vanessa and Allena, and then you got Io and Kyrie. You know, well, you got 3 because then you got Morena and Jessamine as well. So, I mean, if you go through all 3, yeah, but if it's exclusive, you know, you only got 2 more teams that you're really facing off against. So you would have to go to both brands.
I think at the end of the day, it kind of elevates women's wrestling once again. Like, and this is why I say they were the history makers, because look, now because they can't be brand exclusive, it allows so many more women's wrestlers to have opportunities, because now you get to see more women's tag matches and you see more girls get opportunities before because there's something to compete for.
Yeah.
So you're not sitting like, oh, they just throwing them in tag. Like, no, they're trying to show something to say, okay, cool, we can be considered for an opportunity to eventually at some point in our careers wrestle for the women's tag titles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, and that's why I said once again history makers, because now they're the bar, no pun intended. They're the standard. Like, man, they're the queens of this division, of the women's tag team division of mine. They're gonna switch it up for everybody. You're gonna start seeing promotions come up with more tag team women's championships if they don't already have them, and you're gonna see more emphasis of it, because now more and more women are going to have a reason to get involved, because they say, okay, cool, now we there's a chance that we can compete for something. Like the cruiserweights. The cruiserweights, it was like, okay, well, WWE won't sign smaller guys because what are you going to really do? Now there's something to compete for while you develop, and if you have an opportunity to grow and you get over it, you can, Mustafa Ali has shown you can get moved to a bigger brand. So I think the women are going to have way more opportunities. And I mean, look at the exposure that all these new faces will get to be in the ring with Sasha and Bayley without having to compete for a championship or a one-on-one match, which wouldn't make sense anyway.
Yeah.
But now you can have an experienced young lady and an inexperienced lady in a tag team match to help one get more exposure or to continue to grow and learn. And I feel like it's just a domino effect of positivity when it comes to women's wrestling, which is, I mean, that's to me, it was to have them two to start it off, it's almost a no-brainer.
Well, one more thing real quick that you bring up, what you just said too, is I think for a fan, say you're a fan that just watches Raw and SmackDown, and then say, you know, at a pay-per-view it's announced like, well, Sasha and Bayley, and we're not saying Mania, just a regular pay-per-view.
Right.
Sasha and Bayley versus Kairi Sane and Io Shirai, and you're like, well, I don't really know these people. They're from NXT.
Absolutely.
You see that match, you see that, and now you're like, well, that's how they perform. Now I want to watch NXT.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, so I think that's perfect.
Because you see it a lot with the way NXT UK was branded, with a lot of the guys from like Noam Dar and even Finn Balor, and now Cassius Ohno showing up in NXT UK. Those are a lot of faces that I was unfamiliar with, but watching the product originally, I was like, man, I'm kind of hooked now, because I got to see guys like, I knew about Tyler Bate and, you know, Mustache Mountain and Pete Dunne, but now I've got a complete exposure to a whole different brand of wrestling that you catch here and there in other areas, but you see a more focus on it that I have access to. Yeah. Like, we don't have access to Revolution Pro UK on the regular. We got to catch it when we catch it on the back end through coverage and social media and YouTube. But now it's like with the association with some of the established people, and then, you know, coming over to help some of the younger brand, I should say. I mean, it's I think it's done wonders for exposing new faces to current wrestling fans, which I think is difficult to do, and which is, I think this is the next step in the women's evolution of exposing more fans to other women's wrestlers that you may not have paid any mind at first. But you're, like you said, Blizz, you're familiar with Sasha and Bayley. So now, two faces that maybe you've heard of but you didn't see too much, now you're interested in them because, well, I didn't think they could do that. But now you've created new fans of new stars through these two veterans. So I think it's great all the way around.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's stick with women's wrestling. We saw Ruby Riott take on Ronda Rousey. Of course, Ronda Rousey was successful defending her Raw Women's Championship. But then we saw Charlotte, who was out there kind of getting the ring, and then all of a sudden, here comes Becky Lynch, and she goes to town on Charlotte with a crutch. You know, Becky selling the injury. She got re-injured by Charlotte on a house show. So how do we get to, and I want you guys your opinion, put your Booker hats on. How do we get to the triple threat match at WrestleMania?
Can we afford Blizz? You said put the Booker hat on.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can we afford it?
Well, it's Sunday, so I'll do this for free.
Oh, man. God bless you. We're lucky.
Come on, Booker, man.
You know, it was a very interesting twist tonight, because now, the way it's written out, you know, now Ronda has even more incentive to be bad at Becky, so now she's going to want revenge. Of course, Charlotte is like, I don't care, I just want the championship. You know, originally, like I told you earlier in the night, Brian, I would have had Becky Lynch attack Ric Flair on his birthday. And that's how she would have got it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, because we already know Rick is going to sell that Disarmor like $1 million.
That still could happen.
You know, and I still would go with it, but you know, now that's her way of picking at Charlotte even more. You know how Ronda's going to be when Ronda wants something. She's very vocal. You know, you have her come out and say, you know, hey, you know, I want her in this match. I don't care what this company says. The suspension is BS. Da 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 da. And you keep going at it like that. You have Becky, like I said, she attacks Rick. Now Charlotte's match. Charlotte gets this match with Becky at Fastlane, and if Becky wins, she gets in a match. That's how you put her in a match. Me personally, I would make an elimination match, and I would have Charlotte get eliminated first, have it be down to Becky and Ronda, and have Becky get that win. But will that be the safe haven to do? Don't know. Is that what they want to do? Don't know. Does Ronda take a pin? Who knows? But that's the way I would get it to that match.
Realness?
I think I'm waiting for something else to happen between now and Mania, and I say that because there's a lot of parallels between Becky's journey and the journey of Stone Cold Steve Austin when it comes to chasing that championship and feeling like you're being screwed over in the company. Austin's first run, his thing was, I've always been the best wrestler here. Now I'm tired of getting overlooked. I'm coming for the titles. Nothing anybody can do about it. So Shawn Michaels kind of get out your way, whatever the case may be. Then Vince comes in the mix, get in the fit in. No, I'm not dealing with that. And then it was this cat and mouse game. You know what I mean? You went on this merry little chase, and I feel like that's what they're trying to associate Becky Lynch with. And I like the idea of Becky Lynch kind of crashing the party, but I'm looking for her to do something to force her way into the match where they have no choice. And I say that because I'm thinking about, like I said, the parallels between her and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin got fired. He showed up with a gun on Raw, you know, and pulled Vince out, had him peel on himself, and everybody's like, look, if you don't rehire me, sign this contract. In this case, I'm going to blow your brains out in front of everybody on national TV. And you know I don't care because I'm crazy. Whether it's true or not, Vince is like, I'm not taking that risk with crazy Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he forced his way back into the company, back into the mix. And you know what I mean? I'm waiting for something like that to happen with Becky Lynch. Honestly, I don't know how you get there because they're selling this injury thing and they're selling the whole. It's going to be a triple threat match. We all know that. I mean, it's going to get down to it at some point. But you have a number of different avenues you can go in. You know, like Bliss said with the whole look. Ronda Rousey's like, look, I'm not. She needs to be in this match because I want a piece of her too. And like I said, I think the last piece is what Bliss said. That's James Hurt beating. Why would you celebrate Ric Flair on Raw? His birthday.
Yeah.
Like. This is not new. He's been healthy for a long time. For that to randomly happen, I'm like, she's crashing that birthday party. I think that's the last piece right there that Blake said. That's genius. I'm like, man, I'd lose it if I see that. If Becky Lynch comes out there somehow, crashes that party, and slaps the tits out of Ric Flair or puts him in that Disarmor, and somehow like have like Charlotte somewhere locked with a forklift on the door, old school DX98 Attitude Era stuff. I mean, that's when I say, okay, look, somebody, or even Vince. Vince pulled her out of it. Austin used to do stuff to force his hand with Vince McMahon. I'm trying to figure out how can Becky Lynch do that.
Yeah.
And I think if she found a way to do that, the fans will go nuts because that's a female at the end of the day. We saw it with Austin. We say, okay, that's an overpowering male. But for her to be who she is and say, I'm the man, she's got to prove to Vince McMahon. Like, Vince and Stone Cold were constantly going back. It was a power struggle.
Yeah.
Champion versus owner. Now I say, okay, what does Becky Lynch have to do to force McMahon's hand back into this match? And that's kind of what I'm waiting for.
Do you guys hate the fact that Vince is involved?
I don't hate it. I don't think it was needed. I don't hate it though. But the thing about it is, you can never be mad with the Vince McMahon character because he'll always be the ultimate heel. And like what Dwayne was saying of how can she force her hand to prove I'm the man. If something happens and it forces that Charlotte versus Becky match at Fastlane, and she does something to, I don't want to say beat Charlotte convincingly because then you hurt the main event, but if she does something to Charlotte, let's just say it's an I Quit match or something that she can do and prove to Vince, like, I just beat your Golden Girl one-on-one, I am the man, you know, and Vince sees it like, well damn, like, maybe you are the man, but if you're the man, you gotta beat them both. You know, because the man would have been able to beat them both in this triple threat match. You know, I'll give all three of you what you want.
Right.
You know, but I think the way it is right, you got to find that way to convince the Vince McMahon character as of right now. That has become the most important part.
Let's move on. Before we're gonna go somewhere where the person wasn't on the show at all.
Our truth.
And
Dance break.
the SmackDown Women's Champion, Asuka. I'm confused. What do you do with Asuka?
Well, it's sad because it's like I don't want to say it diminishes, but
Just the conflict in your voice right now.
Because-
It's worth the price of admission.
it's like you got two SmackDown competitors basically saying, "Oh, we don't care about that belt. We want Ronda. We want the other belt." Me personally, and once again, this will go to something Dwayne was saying, like, how do you build this up in 2 months? Look, if basically Asuka's like, look, they're all running from me. I'm the real champion. If it's me, if I'm putting my Booker hat on, I have Shayna Baszler come out there. I have her come out with her NXT championship and be like, I don't know if you paid attention, but I beat this whole division. I don't need this belt anymore. They can have this belt. I'm coming for you because you think nobody's ready for Asuka. Well, I am. And set that up, even if it's a beatdown on Asuka or whatever. Shayna Baszler, to me, is the most convincing and the most dominant and the one that can be that one that can go toe-to-toe with Asuka right now to challenge her on a WrestleMania platform and be that person that could be looked at to actually take that championship from her.
I'm going to go on a limb and say something extremely creative and off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something to have to do with the whole Fox deal. I have a bad feeling that the brand splits are coming to an end because of the demand. Television is different, and sometimes television makes certain demands. And I think, after a while, when we had the brand splits for so long, eventually you had the Raw, SmackDown Super Shows to the point where they just kind of faded away.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vince McMahon comes out and has a very Vince McMahon moment. Says, well, you know what? Things are changing around here anyway. I think they're going to unify the titles at some point, and they're going to throw Asuka into the match. It's a stretch, but if I'm booking, I'm like, you know what? It's been too quiet. Mm-hmm. Unless she's going to have a squash match at WrestleMania.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is what it's looking like so far. What if Asuka starts throwing stuff in the match? And guess what? I put my title on the line too. Now the dynamic's different.
Well, I have a question for you for that.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to, let's just say they throw her into it,
mm-hmm.
is a 4-way too much?
No. Winner take all.
Main event.
To close the show, winner take all, Becky Lynch wins both titles. She's standing at the end of the ring at the end of WrestleMania with the SmackDown Women's title and the Raw Women's title on both shows. Because now you got to watch Raw. Yeah. What in the world do we do now? Say Seth Rollins beats Brock Lesnar. Say AJ Styles beats Daniel Bryan. There's got to be a unification match there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is that far-fetched? Absolutely not. I mean, you got to think, though. Somebody like Asuka, too, they can also go the route, which has been said before, of, okay, Becky, you got to earn it. So at the beginning of the night, it's Becky versus Asuka for the SmackDown Championship. Becky wins that. If she wins, she goes into the triple threat. She goes into the match with Charlotte and Ronda. She's already the SmackDown Women's Champ. Now it's champion versus champion, and boom, that's how she wins both belts.
That'd be vicious. I mean, what better way to really put that over the top?
It's a Daniel Bryan moment, but just with 2 belts.
And then,
it was 2 belts technically.
And if you want to eventually say they don't do a complete brand, a complete brand
merger.
Brand merger, yes. You got to figure out Monday or Tuesday to figure out what happens with Becky Lynch with both titles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you did it with Paige when she had the NXT title and the Divas Championship. Eventually, she had to drop one, and they had a tournament for one. Or, you get creative. That's the fun part.
And that's what makes for better TV, because she can come out on Raw and be like, "Yeah, I'll let you know Tuesday what I'm going to do with what belt."
Absolutely.
So now, you're making everybody watch it. So
it's something different,
and it's good for Asuka too, because now she has a match that feels important, and it's not like Asuka versus this person.
Because I still think last year, if there was ever a women's match that could have closed the show, it was Asuka and Charlotte. Like watching it all the way through. I was like, they probably could have closed the show.
I still would have loved Asuka Charlotte too this year.
You can't go wrong with that. Not at all.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say, because I like both of you guys' ideas, but if there's somebody on here, this is where I wish Ember Moon was still around, because then I would put her and then kind of get that reignite that feud, because Ember could never beat Asuka. Yeah. But then there's still Alexa Bliss, and I look at her
because you want to go there too.
Because to me, she's just money, and I think that you could tell an interesting story. I wouldn't necessarily have Alexa beat her, but I think you could tell an interesting story right there. Here's Alexa Bliss, who's been a Raw Women's Champion, been a SmackDown Women's Champion. I know her and Mickie James are allies, but I don't see them. They'll probably challenge for the tag titles on Raw, but I think that you can still put Alexa in a big spot.
And they've only wrestled once. They wrestled that one time on Raw. Mm-hmm. It was bad. Matter of fact, it was around this time. And Asuka won, and then that's when she said, "Oh, I'm gonna face Charlotte."
Yeah,
you know, so you know, not a bad idea at all.
Mm-hmm. So say she wins, where does she fit on SmackDown? Raw's a 3-hour show, and they use her moment of bliss as one of those segments too. And I think I don't want to say majority of the women who are featured on TV are on Raw that are like more entertainment value, like with the Nia Jax promos and the moment of bliss promos and stuff like that. You don't see a whole lot of women being featured in too many sort of promo-ish storylines outside of maybe Mandy Rose and Naomi, but that's sort of come to an end.
All right.
On SmackDown, that's still the Russell brand, even for the women. So it's like, you know, with Carmella, with R-Truth and stuff like that, it's not too many dominant women on SmackDown that are saying, I'm here outside of Asuka because of Becky Lynch's recent focus.
Until the brand shakeup, though.
Well, that's also another thing. What they had not announced when the brand shakeup is. Is it the Monday?
No, they did. They said they said the date because it's going to be on their UK show. It's like April. I forgot the date, but no, they announced the date.
So is that how far is it after Mania? Is it?
I want to say it's like I think it's like the 16th or something like that. Do not quote me if I'm wrong.
So it's about a week or two.
Okay.
I mean, but you got The Miz on SmackDown. You know,
he's not a woman though. Like,
no, right. I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying like if you had to, because Raw to me Raw's just gonna get crowded, and I see Alexa Bliss kind of getting lost in the shuffle.
Is she not already? It's a 3-hour show.
Well, she was hurt. You know, before she was hurt, she was hot.
But they're not going to get rid of her show all of a sudden now because it's a good time filler. Like Eliza's promos are good time fillers. A Moment of Bliss are good time fillers. And a lot of times they have nothing to do with her. They just lead in segments. Like for example, she all of a sudden she wanted to interview EC3. That was just a lead in for EC3 and Dean Ambrose. And that kind of was the reason you jump started that whole situation.
Right.
Like it had nothing to do with the show. Same thing with Nia and who did she have beef with? Whoever. When she came out, she's been interrupting her show like 3 or 4 times every time it comes out.
And it's funny because a lot of people really don't like that show. I mean, like I said,
it's
fans
not
are
a
fickle.
real show. It's literally a time filler. It's something to lead into something else.
Yeah, but if Kevin Owens comes back and he goes wrong, and we got the Kevin Owens show, you know, he can easily.
That's very true. Yeah. That's very true.
So let's go to the tag titles. Shane McMahon and The Miz lost their titles to the Usos. Now, of course, you know, wrestling fans think they know everything because we saw that Jimmy Uso, it was revealed that Jimmy Uso had got in some trouble in Detroit, and people was like, oh yeah, they're not winning the tag titles, and suddenly the Usos are tag team champions again. That's why you can't listen to dirt sheets or try to predict things. What's going to happen, one, with the tag titles? To me, I'm enjoying the Usos. One of my favorite tag teams, probably become my favorite tag team of all time. But I'm kind of seeing them run out of dance partners on SmackDown. But 2, Shane McMahon and The Miz.
How dare you?
What? Well, your boys haven't challenged them.
Tag team partners on SmackDown.
Your boys have not challenged them on television.
There's 3 legitimate tag teams that we haven't even that are the top dogs. And there's probably a handful we haven't even named.
Who?
There's Anderson and Gallows.
I don't know why I thought you was gonna say Game of Thrones.
What have you been watching lately?
I haven't.
You binge watching?
Just everybody keeps tweeting about it.
Hey man, April. Look, winter is coming in April.
Let me tell you. That's what's going on.
Let me tell you, winter is coming in April. Nobody call me doing Game of Thrones.
You got the bar.
Mm-hmm. We've seen
Sanity.
it.
You got Sanity. That's
give me
the first
that.
one.
Give me those.
And you got the New Day. So there's not.
You just gonna forget about Epico and Primo?
I'm still not sure if they want to be released or not because every time they get on the roll, there's a rumor like they ask for the release. They're like, no. And I don't know. I love Epico and Primo, but every time I'm like, oh, cool, they finally taking them seriously. They disappear again after 2 weeks.
What about the new team of Shinsuke and Rusev?
Shinsuke and Rusev, these are more interesting than this international flavor they got going. There's all these. You talking about running out of dance.
All right, well, there you go. Okay, good. That's what you guys are here for. Because right now I'm blinded.
Maybe you go with Sheamus and Rusev. I mean, Rusev and Shinsuke.
See, I don't mind seeing that. You know,
it's different.
I'm all for it.
But it's a hard hitting tag team. Goodness gracious.
What about this whole Shane McMahon and Miz thing?
I have no idea. Everything in my toenails makes me feel like somehow Miz is going to turn on Shane McMahon. I don't know what he's trying to get out of him first. I feel like maybe he's trying to bait Shane McMahon to give him a WWE Championship title match or something.
And maybe he faces Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
That I see. With Miz and Mrs., the way it is right now, all the camera footage will be lovely.
Ooh, that would be.
It's one of the highest rated reality shows that USA's had. They're like, this usually doesn't. We don't usually do reality shows like this, and it's working for us. So it's something there.
It's bigger than Temptation Island.
Absolutely, I think it is, and that's all the juice. And like people like Miz and Maurice is one of those. Miz and Mrs. is one of those shows that people really gravitate towards. And I'm like,
I love it.
And I thought it was hilarious when they were talking about how it did better numbers than Total Bellas. And I'm like, wow,
It's
you
a
got
better show.
It kind of is. It's because the Miz and Maurice are kind of real. They're not Hollywood people. Like they kind of are, but Miz hasn't lost his Cleveland roots, and Maurice is still like a French Canadian. You know what I mean?
I don't watch it, so I'm just listening.
I love it.
I love it.
Like
it is.
If it's on, I'll tune in. You know, I think I'm over the whole reality.
When you see Miz and Maurice on TV, I'm seeing the same people on the show, and I think that's what's fun about it. Because you kind of get a continuation, but it's like you see them as themselves, but in different settings.
Yeah.
So it's like seeing Lana Rusev on a farm. It's like, oh, they're still gonna be Lana Rusev, but now they're in this different situation, and that's how Miz and Maurice is. Especially when you throw her French mother into the mix, and then Miz's parents from Cleveland. It's so many interesting dynamics, and it's like, man, this is actually like it's normal. It doesn't seem so Hollywood. Like, you know, Total Buzz is glad it's mansions and fancy dresses and stuff like that all the time. And the best part about it is you get to see Daniel Bryan and John Cena and wrestlers backstage, but outside of that, this is glamour, vacation life, and problems, and alcohol and vacation. But Miz and Maurice have like these real life situations, like, oh, we're having a baby, we gotta move, we got a house. Marjo is French.
Somebody broke into the house.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, yeah.
So I know I'm gonna make the black wrestling fans mad because as much as I've been pulling for this Kofi Kingston Daniel Bryan match, how cool would it be to see the Miz and Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania?
I'm fine with that.
In a different dynamic that we thought we probably, like we were saying earlier, Blake. Like, man, when we was watching, we were saying, like, at one point we thought we was gonna get Miz and Daniel Bryan, with Daniel Bryan being the challenger to Miz being the champion. But now it could flip, and with that, we could also see, you know, Miz finally do something he said he was going to do on Table 3, and that was being the main event, and not main event as in closing the show, but
a main event
of WrestleMania. But him winning the title, and I'm thinking, or Dwayne, I'm thinking about the footage that they would show on their reality show.
It kind of writes itself. Like I said, once me was arguing about this before, the whole AJ thing. There's a history there already, and it dates back so many years to their dynamic of when they started to where they are now. And then you have, they're kind of like the Superman and the normal and bizarre world of each other, right? Because you got, Daniel Bryan and his wife have a reality show, Total Bellas. You know, then you have Miz and Maurice, they have their own reality show. You know, they've beefed before already over these types of things, and now you got this guy that's like, I'm Captain Save the Planet, and I'm Captain Hollywood. There's so many interesting dynamics there. It's like, but the interesting thing is, you have the villain that swears he's the hero, and then you have the guy that's supposed to be the villain that looks like the hero. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he's supposed to be the rich snob, but now he's the one stopping the Captain Planet, but he has a righteous movement, but he's kind of a prick. And then you got the guy that's the snob that's saying, no, I'm going to give the fans what they really want. The glitz and the glamour. So it's an interesting dynamic, and it's like there's an awkward double turn there. And it's like nobody thought that you would ever see Miz being the face in the situation, especially for who he is, what he stands for, the materialistic, the Hollywood lifestyle. And then you got Daniel Bryan, the Captain Eco Planet Saver. You know what I mean? There's a lot of interesting dynamics to all of that. And I think it's something that it's familiar, but it's different.
Yeah. And I think that's, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think it's just like I was saying earlier, I think that's what makes the Miz Shane McMahon story the most interesting story going into Mania.
Because it's leading to something,
yeah,
and you don't know what it is.
And like you said, in your heart, you're like, I know Miz is going to trade on him, but then your brain is like, what if he doesn't?
Yeah.
What if this just leads to them going, let's do this one more time and challenge the Usos for the tag titles at WrestleMania and really make a moment? And they swerve everybody.
That's possible.
There's so many different revenues you can go with these two, and it makes you just want to see more.
Well, it makes you want to see more, and we want to, wrap things up. Yeah, there was other matches, but these were the main event matches, the ones that mattered, the ones that people want to talk about. Final thoughts. We'll start from the left. Blake, final thoughts?
I enjoyed the show. You know, I think a lot of things is very mysterious going into WrestleMania, and it was like I was saying to both of you guys we were watching. I'm like, oh my God, we still got one more pay-per-view. Not going to, you know, I'm trying to say this in the best way of making Fastlane. Now it's an important show. Mm-hmm. It is an important show because now you can't wait until Monday and Tuesday to see what's going to be the final stop to WrestleMania, and then we can get our questions answered for the granddaddy of them all.
Realness?
Yeah, to what Blake said, I think the best part about these type of pay-per-views is they continue the story. They're not like one-offs. Yeah. They're not like, oh, we did this, cool, and then now we got to start first or something else. It's kind of like, okay, cool. Here we are. Here's this chapter of what's going on. Now you got to wait to see the next chapter to kind of figure out the climax of the entire story. And like I said, I think I couldn't have said it better myself. It makes Fastlane that much more important because you're kind of like, okay, cool. This pay-per-view didn't show us what's going to happen at WrestleMania. We have another gap in between of that month. And now you have to kind of pay attention to Fastlane because now that's going to set the dynamic for what's naturally going to go into WrestleMania. It kind of sets up the feuds and the potential stories of, hey, this is what we may go. Because we don't know as of right now based off what happened at this pay-per-view. Like, okay, we can figure this probably happened, but it's too early. So now you got to wait. You got to watch your TV. You got to get to your pay-per-view, and now that's when the fun and the fantasy booking can start to kind of come to place. You can start putting the pieces together for, okay, cool, this is what our Mania this year's going to look like, and then it brings in a whole different conversation.
Brings in a whole different conversation. Dwayne, tell people where they can follow you.
They can follow me on Twitter at Dwayne Allen 24. It's DWAYNE8LLEN24.
Blake?
You can follow me on Twitter at It's Blizz, ITSBLIZ.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know you can follow me at Brian H. Waters, and you can follow the Wrestling Wrealm at Wrestling Wrealm. That is Wrealm with a W. And make sure you are subscribed right here, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and drop a 5-star rating. Till the next time, so long, everybody. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. If you like what you see, go ahead and hit subscribe down low and check out all the other stuff brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm.